Hi everyone, in this video we're going to be analyzing Frank Marshall's immortal game in which he played against Levitsky, and this is called the gold coin game. Now Marshall's playing as black, and he's actually one of the most famous chess players. He has his own club in New York City, one of the most prestigious clubs in the world. Now in the game, Levitsky starts with d4, he does e6, and then pushes a pawn to d5. So this is apparently called Marshall's gambit in the Sicilian defense. I've never seen this before, but it is transposing into some other openings that we know. Alright, so after knight goes to f6, we actually have a pretty normal position. If white tries to capture this, the bishop can capture, and then we will have an isolated pawn on d5, which is going to be white's target. So white does a castle, black develops the bishop from e7, bishop goes to g5, putting pressure on the knight, and then black does castling. This is when white decided to capture, and instead of capturing this back, since our pawn is going to be under attack, the opponent is pinning out, not pinning it but attacking it, we need to defend this pawn. And this is what Marshall did. He brought the bishop to e6, and then the opponent's knight goes to d4, attacking the center square. I'm hoping that we capture it, and then the queen can come towards the center. This is going to be a nice idea for white to do. However, this is when Marshall decided to capture this pawn. He's not really caring if the knight captures his bishop, which is what happened in the game. After they capture it, of course, we're going to capture back with the pawn. This is important. This is going to open the rook's f file, and we're going to be putting more pressure over this f2 pawn in the future. In the game, the opponent brought the bishop to g4, putting pressure on our e pawn, and then queen went to d6 to be able to defend it. And again, our queen, our bishop, our rook, we're attacking over the king's position right now, and we can try to take advantage of this. The opponent brought the bishop to h3, since knight is no longer pinned. And then rook went to ae8. The opponent brought the queen to d2. Bishop goes to b4, we're pinning this knight. They captured us, and we can capture with our rook, we can capture with the pawn. We don't want to open the kingside structure, so Marshall used the rook, and now we can try to double the rooks up to attack even f2 more. Opponent brought the rook from a to d1, queen goes to c5. Again, we're putting pressure over this f pawn, and at the same time we can try to attack on c3 as well. Opponent decided to bring the queen to e2. Now the knight is hanging because after this we can win a little pawn this way. And now this is what Marshall went for. They capture, queen captures, and we actually have that pawn advantage. And the opponent's pawn structure isn't so good right now. We have 3 pawn islands. White has 3 pawn islands as well, but these 2 pawns are actually isolated pawns. So white wants to get their pawn back, and Levitsky brings the rook to capture on d5. If white tries to capture, the rook will be hanging in the back, right? And of course Marshall doesn't capture because that will put black in a more passive position. Instead, black doesn't attack. Knight goes to d4, supporting this pawn and also attacking this queen. And we can also try to do some attacks in the future with the knight. It's actually going to be very similar to an Anastasia's mate position. If knight can go to e2, queen goes to h5, or goes to ef8. We are saving the rook, and we are going to be putting pressure over f2 again. The opponent's rook went to e5, and now we brought our rook to h6. And this is going to be an incredible plan because we are going to be putting pressure over 2 files, and only the g file is going to be needed to attack that king. The opponent brought the queen to g5, and here is going to be a brilliant move from Marshall's side. If you want to think, you can pause the video. Alright, so Marshall did a rook sacrifice, rook h3. Now if this pawn captures this rook, there's no immediate checkmate, but you can do a fork to win the opponent's queen. That's why they didn't capture this, right? But it is a brilliant move. Instead, they brought the rook to attack this queen. And now this is going to be the best move that Marshall did in the game. Queen g3. This is an incredible idea. If queen goes to g3, there are multiple ways white can capture this, right? White can capture it with the h-pawn. If white captures it with the h-pawn, then knight can go to e2, making a checkmate. But what if they capture with the f-pawn, excuse me? If they go to g3 like that, we can bring this knight to e2. They will have to move the king, and then we can capture the opponent's rook to do a backroom checkmate. And lastly, the opponent can capture this with the queen, right? If the opponent captures it with the queen, now what are we going to do? Can anybody try to solve this? Alright, so if it is the queen who captures us, we can actually do this move, and we are checking the opponent's king. They will have to go to h1. They can't capture the knight. And again, we can capture the opponent's queen with the knight. The h-pawn is pinned. They can't capture. They can try to capture with the f-pawn, but again, this is going to be the checkmate. So, this is Marshall's Immortal game. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.